But don't be surprised when Caitlin Clark fans or anybody else chooses to call you out on it. Don't cry. Don't be a Cheryl. Okay? Hopefully you guys are not confused because, again, this is a new channel, but the same old channel that was So Beautiful Me Sports takes. But now it's just a raw report. Anyways, welcome. Before we get started and jump into this video, make sure you guys do me a favor. Please, 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 please. Make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you like. And if you guys like my content, of course, share. And then comment. You guys can definitely give me your opinions. Keep it cute because I have no problem blocking. I'm a small channel. Even if I got big, I still have no problem blocking. And even if I don't get big and I'm like still just 800 people in, I'm going to block your ignorant ass if you're ignorant. Okay? Now let's get started. So I wanted to discuss what happened today, and when I'm recording this, it was Tuesday, the 3rd of September. Okay. So Sheryl Swoopes, who's been having one of the most craziest weeks ever, because I don't know if she's having somebody said a midlife crisis. I don't know if it's a midlife crisis. I don't know what's going on with her, but she has lost her damn mind. Somewhat. And she was crashing out on Twitter and she was just acting very crazy. I know people are gonna be like, oh, you're hyperbolic, you're being this and that. No. Sheryl Swoopes was, I don't know what she was doing. So everyone's like, well, why is everyone so mad at Sheryl Swoopes? And why are y'all attacking poor, innocent Sheryl Swoopes, the legend, the royalty, the. Somehow the person who lied, victimized, and was actually hating and being very, very, very malicious has now become the victim. Cheryl, you're not the victim. First and foremost, there's a timeline of everything that's happened. So I'm going to add this clip. And the first clip is going to tell you how she started off just hating Caitlin Clark for no reason. She discredited or attempted to discredit Caitlin Clark's record in college.
You're going to break a record. To me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that player set it.
Okay.
Right? So if Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record. So is it truly a broken record? Caitlin Clark right now probably takes about 40 shots a game.
Carry on.
I know you like that.
Yeah.
By saying that, she got the record, but she's 25, she's a 5th year senior, and she has 40 points. So, I mean, really, Cheryl? Really? And then when people called her out on it, apparently she reached out to Caitlin and said, oh, I'm so sorry, I apologize, right? We didn't know that. But then you would say, okay, well, she apologized because that's what the little subsection of Shea Butter Twitter wants you to know. Oh, she apologized. Why you out mad? Why you mad? She apologized. First and foremost, we didn't know she apologized until she decided she was going to leak the actual tweets. I'm sorry, the DMs that was exchanged by her and Caitlin Clark. The funniest thing about Sheryl Swoopes doing this and putting out the actual DMs of her and Caitlin Clark, Sheryl Swoopes is like 50-something. Caitlin Clark, again, is only 22 now. Guess who was a more mature person in that situation? Sheryl Swoopes did apologize, but you know what's crazy is that Caitlin Clark still, because everyone's like, they need to pay homage, they need to pay homage, still said, hey, I get it, no problem, no worries, whatever. Thank you for still being one of the people who inspired me to play basketball, yada, yada, yada. You're like, well, so she was supposed to say, yeah, she was. But then do you know what Sheryl Swoopes ended up doing? Going back on the podcast, insinuating that Caitlin Clark's a bully.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about bullies, we can talk about every time Caitlin has the ball, she pushes off.
Oh, no.
Here's the clip.
I know somebody said that I called Caitlin a bully. No, I didn't. So anyway, they were talking about the pushing and all the hard fouls and things like that. So he said, so then they're bullies. And I said, well, to me, that doesn't necessarily make them a bully. It was a question. I asked Gil, I said, so Caitlin pushes off all the time. Does that make her a bully? It was a question. It wasn't me saying, so she is a bully.
Built from trying to.
Then after she did all that, she does podcasts. She decides that she's not going to say anything and mention Caitlin Clark.
Really helped Indiana.
Absolutely.
Like they look like they've spent time, whether they took time off or not, but they worked on stuff. I'm going to say shout out to Lexi Hull. I'm a big Lexi Hull fan. Watch her in AU. Lexi Hull shot the leather off the ball in their game against Seattle. Kelsey Mitchell is just stroking. She is just shooting the basketball. Aaliyah Boston, almost a triple-double. I know we're talking about teams where they can move and things changing, but if Indiana continues to play the way they're playing like this, they too are going to move up in the standing.
Oh, and the excuses that we're giving, even though she was lying, the excuses she was giving was, when you on podcasts, you just having a good time. Yeah, you black, you just talking, and it ain't all about facts and all of that. Since when? Why y'all lying? These are the same exact people who are telling her, you don't owe them nothing. You owe them nothing, Cheryl. You don't owe nobody nothing. They're the same people who were determined when the Caitlin Clark wave in effect started, and she has fans who were being nasty and negative and disgusting and racist and being completely ignorant. Completely ignorant. I do not support any of that stuff. They were the same people who said, Caitlin Clark, you need to be responsible for all your racist fan and everybody in your fan base. You get up here, you say something. We're an activist league. You need to stop the racism. Your words are going to stop every racist person that follows and likes your game or the WNBA to stop. It's all on you. And then they came around today, and they came around recently, and for Sheryl Swoopes, it's, oh, poor Cheryl. Those fans are attacking her. Sheryl Swoopes then becomes the victim. She then posts on Twitter how Maya Angelou quote, everyone's cutting. Yet, and in any of this time, she wasn't the victim. She was the person who created the problem and discredited Caitlin also on her show by saying, hey, I know the Fever has gotten good and the Fever are better and they're winning, but do they really need Caitlin Clark? I mean, to be honest, they could win without Caitlin Clark. They were pretty close last year.
Excuse me. Is Indiana in the playoffs right now without Caitlin? I don't
know. Last year, no.
Caitlin has done, I think, exactly what was expected of her with Indiana, right? The reason why they drafted her, what the expectations were. And I think she's done just that.
Cheryl, aren't you supposed to be watching WNBA? Ain't you a former player of it? Royalty, as those have said it on the Twitter. The actual fact of the matter is that the Indiana Fever has almost the same players. And those same group of players didn't win, I think, but 13 games last season. They were nowhere near being a playoff team. And you know why they weren't nowhere near being a playoff team? Because they got the number one pick. You don't get the number one pick if you're not a bad team, goofy. Okay? That's how that works. But anyways, she does all of that. And then, so people are like, hey, Cheryl, look at Caitlin now. You've been saying how, I'm not very impressed with her and all of this stuff. And you're giving all these accolades as she deserves to Angel Reese. And you're saying how you want to highlight not just Caitlin Clark. You want to highlight all the rookies of the class. But you haven't. But that's a whole other story. So you made it a point to never say, hey, out loud, I was wrong for lying. I called her a bully. I called her, she was 25 and she took 40 shots. You never said that out loud. We didn't know that recently that you apologized until you leaked the DMs, which also is another sign of your immaturity, Cheryl. You're immature. You're very immature. Then you got into space today and you actually lied again and said how you didn't say that Caitlin Clark is a bully. You presented it as a question when then you got to remember there's these little things that people keep called receipts. And it actually showed that you were not insinuating, that you were questioning, well, are we going to call Caitlin Clark a bully? Or no, you were insinuating.
So I know somebody said that I called Caitlin a bully. No, I didn't. So anyway, they were talking about the pushing and all the hard fouls and things like that. So he said, So then they're bullies. And I said, well, to me, that doesn't necessarily make them a bully. It was a question. I asked Gil, I said, so Caitlin pushes off all the time. Does that make her a bully? It was a question. It wasn't me saying, so she is a bully.
You were just lying again. So all your little cronies who came up and they were like, you guys are not gonna make Sheryl Swoopes feel bad. She became the victim. She's not the victim here. She was the person. She's not the victim here. She was the person who was giving all this flack to Caitlin Clark for no reason. And then when she was commentating the game as the color commentator, she couldn't even get a girl credit. So if you can discredit somebody and say, hey, she's not that great and all these things. No, NBA, WNBA, football, whatever sport you're in, they usually have a thing where they're like, you talked all that shit, right? We want your apology to be as loud as your disrespect was. Sheryl Swoopes did not want to address her disrespect towards Caitlin Clark. She just acts like she's just, hey, I am not a hater. I appreciate Caitlin Clark. Your actions say otherwise, Sheryl Swoopes. And until today, I never had heard you say anything nice out loud about Caitlin Clark. You may have made a few passive aggressive things, but you literally had made it a point to either discredit her, disparage her, or say nothing at all.
Will Caitlin Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now? Immediately? Absolutely not. How she can get her teammates to play with her. You know what I mean? Because at Iowa, she did everything. Mm-hmm. You know, however many shots you want to take, whatever you want to do with the ball, you can do. It's just a different ball game. And you have some players like an Aaliyah Boston, an Alyssa Smith, a Kelsey Mitchell, like they got to have a rock. When you put these expectations on these young women in college to go to the next level and be immediately dominant, and when that doesn't happen, then people come back and say, oh, she was a bust, she was a flop, she wasn't that good. Just let them do what they're doing in college, enjoy what they're doing in college, and let them become stars in the WNBA. You know, I've been very clear about Angel Reese. Have conversations with Angel. I text with Angel, but even before Angel got in the league, I said, yes, I think it's going to be an adjustment period, not just for Angel, not just for Caitlin, but for every rookie. That's the reality. When you go from collegiate sports to professional, I don't care, male, female, there's an adjustment period.
And then when people called you out on it, like they do anyone else who said a bunch of bullshit, any player or any team, you cried. You cried wolf. And then you had all your little, the shea butter WNBA people. Why are you guys treating poor Cheryl that way? Because she deserved it. Now, I will say today she did a good thing. She actually spoke up. She spoke well and highly of Caitlin Clark. It was a first and it was a necessary thing. So for all the people who are like, why y'all keep going after her? No, you can't say things that she said and then expect no one to give her pushback when Caitlin exceeded and did everything her and all the other haters said she couldn't do. So I find it funny that a lot of these people are sitting here knowing when the season began, they were the main people talking. They were, ooh, this the best player ever. This supposed to be the generational person. This supposed to be her. She in a big girl league now. She ain't gonna be doing what she was doing in college. She ain't gonna be breaking records. She ain't gonna be doing all that. She gonna get defenses. This fat. They were saying all kind of crazy stuff. Then there were the Caitlin Clark fans who were like, oh, she gonna do this, and that. You have people trying to really pretend like, oh, everyone overhyped Caitlin Clark, and she's the only person ever that's been overhyped in the WNBA, NBA sports figure. Only person. These are the same people who must not know Wemby existed. But, that's neither here nor there. And then when they try to act like, it's so unheard of for fans to be like, hey, maybe Caitlin Clark could be the MVP. Candace Parker was a rookie MVP and rookie of the year. Am I comparing it? No. But let me tell you why it's so important to remember. As of right now, the records that Caitlin Clark has actually done and beaten, some of those have been only done once. Not by just a rookie, but by any WNBA player. So by those standards, yes, she can be in MVP talks. Your hating on her is not changing that. But back on topic, Sheryl Swoopes and anybody else, and there was groups and tons of you, all of you guys were out there just talking shit. You guys talk so much stuff about this girl. You guys tried to pretend like she wasn't going to be good. You guys, Diana Taurasi said it too. Several people were on shows saying it. Now you guys can't even be woman enough. Don't want to be held accountable for your takes. You don't want to say nothing and say, hey, I was wrong, because that takes being accountable. You don't want to sit here and now say, hey, Caitlyn has done a great job. No, because you guys were so determined that this girl wasn't going to be who she was. And guess what? Not only did she make the hype, she actually exceeded the hype. She exceeded the hype. She's done what hasn't been done in damn near 9 years. 2016 was the last time you seen the Fever in the playoffs. Rookie Caitlin Clark clinched them a playoff spot. So y'all could be mad. Y'all could hate. But at the end of the day, she's still one of the best rookies that we've ever seen. And so far, she's a generational talent because, as I mentioned, that generational talent, she has done things in a half of a season that not only no rookie has done, but in WNBA players done. And some of the only comparisons can be to NBA players, which we know that you can't compare because things are different. Also, let's also remember that even when you compare to the rookies or the other players in the NBA, they get 12-minute quarters. WNBA only get 10. Think about it, you guys. Caitlin Clark is her. She's the truth. And you liars can hide, can pretend you didn't say it. But don't be surprised when Caitlin Clark fans or anybody else chooses to call you out on it. Don't cry. Don't be a Cheryl. Okay? With that being said, you guys, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, share if you like it. If you don't like what I got to say, I don't care. Like I said, say what you want. Keep it respectful. If you say something crazy and you call me names or try to say like I lost my soul or I'm not black enough for all these stupid things that you guys are coming up with, guess what? Once again, I will block you. But not only that, you're ignorant. Yeah. Take a look at yourself in the mirror and say that it's wrong for somebody to like a player that is white because they're black, or it's wrong for anybody to support Caitlin Clark. They automatically are anti-black or racist because they support Caitlin Clark. You're stupid. Also, I think it's crazy that you guys continue to push this narrative that like, oh, Caitlin Clark needs to correct all her fans. Yet no one's telling Reese to correct all her fans who are saying things. Don't forget that. See y'all next one.